The morning started like any other morning in Seoul. Lee Jiwoo stood in front of her classroom teaching 23 children about the solar system. She pointed at the pictures of Mars and Jupiter on the screen. The children listened with wide eyes, excited about space and distant worlds. Captain Han Do-yoon sat in the command chair of his ship, the Righteous Fury. His vessel patrolled near Jupiter, watching over the mining stations that floated in the darkness. It was boring work, but someone had to do it. He drank his coffee and looked at the reports on his screen. Everything was quiet. Everything was normal. Dr. Yoon Hana worked in her laboratory on Luna Station, studying samples from a distant asteroid. She had plans to call her mother in Seoul later that evening. Her mother always complained that Hana never called enough. Hana smiled thinking about it. She would call right after her shift ended. Admiral Kang Min-ho sat in a meeting room in Geneva. Dozens of military officers from different countries surrounded him. They were discussing the budget for next year. Some wanted more ships. Others wanted better weapons. It was the same argument they had every year. Kang listened patiently, waiting for his turn to speak. Then the screens changed. Every screen on Earth changed at the same moment. Televisions in homes, computers in offices, phones in pockets, giant displays in city squares. Everything showed the same image. 3 massive ships hung in the sky above Seoul. They were dark and angular, covered in sharp edges and glowing lights. They were beautiful and terrifying. Jiwoo's classroom screen flickered. The children gasped. She turned to look and her blood went cold. Those ships were above her city, above her home. A voice came through every speaker. It spoke in broken Korean, the words wrong but understandable. Humans, you are weak. You are small. This is your lesson. The ships fired. Beams of purple light struck the buildings below. Metal and concrete exploded into dust. The ground shook. Jiwoo grabbed her desk to stay standing. The children screamed. She wanted to run to them, to hold them, to tell them everything would be okay, but she could not move. She could only watch the screen as her city began to die. Han Do-yoon stood up so fast his coffee spilled across the floor. His crew stared at their screens in horror. The enemy ships were broadcasting their attack everywhere. They wanted everyone to watch. They wanted everyone to be afraid. "Get me Admiral Kang," Han Do-yoon said. His voice was steady, but his hand shook. "Get me anyone. We need to send ships to Seoul right now." His communications officer looked up with tears on her face. "Sir, the nearest battle group is 4 hours away. Even at maximum speed, they cannot reach Seoul in time." 4 hours. Han Do-yoon looked at the screen. In 4 hours, how many would die? On Luna Station, Dr. Yoon Hana dropped the sample she was holding. It shattered on the floor, but she did not notice. Her screen showed Seoul burning. Her mother lived in the southern part of the city. That part was already covered in smoke and fire. Hana tried to call her mother. The line was dead. She tried again. Still nothing. She tried her father, her brother, her aunts and uncles. No one answered. The communication networks were being jammed or destroyed. She could not reach anyone. She pressed her hands against the screen as if she could reach through it and pull her family to safety. She could not. She could only watch. Admiral Kang ran from the meeting room to the command center. Officers rushed around him shouting orders and trying to coordinate a response. But there was no response, not yet. Earth's defense fleet was scattered across the solar system. By the time they reached Seoul, it would be over. Kang watched the main display. The alien ships moved slowly over the city. They were not in a hurry. They fired their weapons carefully, targeting specific buildings, hospitals, schools, stadiums where people gathered. They were not just destroying the city. They were hunting the people inside it. "Why are they broadcasting this?" one officer asked. Kang understood. "They want us to watch. They want us to be afraid. This is a message." Jiwoo pulled her children away from the windows. The building shook again. Dust fell from the ceiling. She could hear explosions getting closer. The school's emergency system told them to go to the basement. She led the children down the stairs, counting them as they ran. 23, all still with her. The basement was already crowded with other classes. Teachers and children pressed together in the darkness. Someone had turned on a radio. The news was chaos. The reporters did not know what was happening. They only knew that something terrible had come from the sky. Jiwoo held her students close. Some were crying. Others were silent, too shocked to make a sound. She tried to think of something to say. some words that would make this better. But there were no words. There was only fear. Hours passed like years. The alien voice came through the speakers again and again. It mocked them. It called humans insects. It said Earth belonged to them now. It said humanity had one choice, surrender or die. The ships fired without stopping. The whole world watched as Sol was torn apart piece by piece. Rescue workers tried to reach the injured, but the aliens targeted them too. Ambulances exploded. Fire trucks burned. Anyone who tried to help became a target. Han Doyen could not look away from the screen. His crew was silent. They all had friends or family on Earth. They all felt helpless, floating in space while their world suffered. "Sir," his weapons officer said quietly, "we could reach Earth in 2 days if we push the engines." "And do what?" Han Doyen asked. "We are one ship. They have 3. We would die and Sol would still burn." The officer said nothing. He knew it was true. But doing nothing felt worse than dying. Dr. Yoon Hana finally stopped trying to call her family. She sat on the floor of her laboratory and watched the screen. She watched the apartment building where she grew up collapse into rubble. She watched the park where she played as a child disappear under fire. She watched her whole life turn to ash. Something inside her broke. The sadness became something else. Something cold and hard. After 6 hours, the attack stopped. The alien ship simply stopped firing. The voice came through the speakers one last time. "This is your lesson, humans. Surrender your world, or we will do this to every city. You have 7 days to decide." The ships vanished. They did not fly away. They just disappeared, faster than anything humans had built could follow. The world was silent for a moment. Then the screaming began. Jiwoo led her children up from the basement. Half the school was gone. Just gone, as if a giant hand had scooped it away. She could see the sky through the holes in the walls. Smoke filled the air, making it hard to breathe. She checked her students. 19 were with her. 4 were missing. She had lost 4 children. Emergency services were overwhelmed. The whole city was destroyed. 7 million people had lived in Seoul that morning. Now most of them were dead or dying. The survivors wandered through the ruins, calling for loved ones, searching for anyone who might still be alive. Admiral Kang stood in the command center and looked at the damage reports. The numbers were too big to understand. 7.2 million dead. The entire metropolitan area was gone. It was the worst disaster in human history. "What do we do, sir?" an officer asked. Kang was quiet for a long time. Then he spoke, and his voice was like ice. "Find them. Use every telescope, every satellite, every sensor we have. Find where they went. Find where they came from. Find them all. And then, sir?" Kang looked at the screen, at the ruins of Seoul, at the 7 million names that would be added to the memorial lists. "And then we make sure they regret this. We make sure they understand what they have done. We make sure no one ever does this to us again." The officer nodded and left to give the orders. Han Doyen sat alone in his quarters. He had received the casualty lists. 3 of his crew had lost family in Seoul. Dozens more had lost friends. He wrote messages to each of them, trying to find words of comfort. But what comfort could there be? He thought about the alien commander who had ordered this attack. Did that creature understand what it had done? Did it know it had not just killed 7 million people? It had created 7 billion enemies. Every human who watched Seoul burn would remember. Every human would want revenge. Dr. Yoon Hana finally received confirmation. Her entire family was gone. Her mother, her father, her brother, her aunts, her uncles, her cousins, all gone in 6 hours. She did not cry. She was beyond tears now. She walked to her laboratory computer and opened her research files. She had been studying alien technology, trying to understand how other species built their ships and weapons. It had been peaceful research meant to help humanity explore the stars. Not anymore. Now she would use everything she knew to help humanity do something else. Something necessary. Something terrible. Jiwoo sat in a refugee center with her surviving students. Their parents were coming to get them, one by one. Some parents never came. Those children just sat quietly, understanding without being told that no one was coming for them. When the last child was gone, Jiwoo walked outside. The sky was dark with smoke. She could still hear buildings collapsing in the distance. She thought about her classroom, about teaching the children about Mars and Jupiter, about how excited they had been to learn about space. Space was not wonderful anymore. Space had brought death. A soldier walked by helping carry supplies to the refugee center. Jiwoo stopped him. "How do I join?" she asked. The soldier looked confused. The 7 days came and went. Earth did not surrender. Instead, Earth prepared for war. The United Earth Assembly met for the first time in 5 years. Representatives from every nation gathered in what remained of Geneva. They had always argued before, fighting over resources and territory and pride. Not anymore. Seoul had changed everything. Admiral Kang stood before them and presented Protocol Extinction. It was a plan that had existed only in theory. A nightmare scenario that no one thought would ever be needed. It was a plan for total war. A plan to completely destroy an enemy species. The vote was unanimous. Dr. Yoon Hana worked without sleep. She studied the recordings of the attack from every angle. The alien ships had left traces in space, tiny distortions in the fabric of reality. She could track them. She could find where they had gone. It took her 3 weeks. 3 weeks of calculations and theories and desperate hope. Finally, she had it. A trail through space leading away from Earth like breadcrumbs. The aliens had not covered their tracks because they did not think humans could follow. They were wrong. Captain Han Doyen received new orders. He was no longer patrolling Jupiter. He was now part of the Retribution Fleet. 300 ships pulled from every corner of human space. They had stripped away everything unnecessary. No comfort, no luxury, only weapons and engines and rage. Han Doyen walked through his ship and saw the changes. The crew quarters were cramped now, packed with extra ammunition. The mess hall was half its original size, the space converted to hold new missile batteries. Every gram of weight that could be removed had been removed. The Righteous Fury was no longer a patrol vessel. It was a weapon. Engineer Park Tae-yang worked in the military research facility in Beijing. He had designed peaceful things before the attack. Solar panels and water purifiers and communication satellites. Now he designed only death. His latest creation was called Hellfire. It was a missile that burned hotter than the surface of a star. When it hit a target, there was nothing left. Not debris, not dust, not atoms. Just heat and light and empty space. The military wanted 1,000 of them. Park Tae-yang would give them 5,000. Commander Nam Suji piloted a new type of ship called Silent Vengeance. It was small and fast and completely invisible to sensors. She could fly right next to an enemy and they would never know she was there. Her job was to find the aliens before the fleet arrived, to watch them and learn their patterns and mark their targets. She volunteered for the mission the day after Seoul. Her brother had died in the attack. He was a musician, gentle and kind, someone who had never hurt anyone. The aliens had killed him anyway, burned him alive for their broadcast. Nam Suji would make sure they regretted it. Major Baek Hyun-woo trained soldiers for ground combat. Thousands of people had joined the military after Seoul. They came angry and scared and determined. Baek Hyun-woo turned them into weapons. He taught them how to fight in alien environments, how to breathe different air, how to survive different gravity, how to kill things that were not human. The training was brutal. Some recruits quit, most stayed. They all remembered Seoul. They all wanted revenge. 6 weeks after the attack, the Retribution Fleet was ready. Dr. Yoon Hana had tracked the alien trail to a planet called Veklar 7. It was a mining colony, home to 2 million aliens. It had orbital defenses and military ships. It thought it was safe. Admiral Kang gave the order. The fleet moved out, leaving Earth's solar system behind. They traveled faster than light, following the trail that Hana had found. It would take 3 weeks to reach Veklar 7, 3 weeks to prepare, 3 weeks to think about what they were going to do. Han Doyen spent those weeks reviewing the attack plan. It was simple and terrible. The fleet would drop out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. Commander Nam Suji would go ahead and disable the long-range sensors. Then the fleet would attack, overwhelming the defenses before they could respond. There would be no warning. No chance to surrender. No mercy. Han Doyen thought about that. Before Seoul, he would have protested. He would have argued for giving the aliens a chance to surrender. But he kept thinking about the broadcast. About how the aliens had made everyone watch. About how they had laughed while 7 million people died. He did not protest. The fleet arrived at Veklar 7 exactly on schedule. Nam Suji had done her job perfectly. The alien sensors were offline, disabled by a virus that Dr. Yoon Hana had designed. The planet had no idea what was coming. Admiral Kang opened a channel to the entire fleet. 300 captains listened. They killed 7 million of us, he said. They broadcast it for entertainment. They called us weak. They called us insects. Today we show them what insects can do. Today we show them what happens when you attack Earth. Attack. The fleet fired. Thousands of missiles streaked toward the planet. Hellfire weapons detonated against the orbital stations, turning metal and alien flesh into superheated plasma. The alien defense fleet tried to respond, but they were too slow and too few. Park Taeyang's weapons were too fast, too hot, too deadly. Pilot Choi Mirai led a fighter squadron through the chaos. She was 23 years old, the youngest pilot in the fleet. She had joined the military 1 week after Seoul. Her parents had tried to stop her. They wanted her safe. She told them safety was an illusion. Seoul had taught her that. Now she flew her fighter through enemy fire, her fingers dancing over the controls. She locked onto an alien warship and fired. Her missiles struck the engines and the ship exploded in a ball of fire. She felt nothing. No triumph, no joy, no satisfaction. Just cold purpose. Major Baek Hyun-woo landed on the planet's surface with 5,000 soldiers. Their orders were clear. Eliminate any military targets. The aliens tried to defend themselves. They fought hard, desperate to protect their colony. It did not matter. Humanity had brought more soldiers, better weapons, and endless rage. The battle lasted 8 hours. When it was over, every alien installation was destroyed. Every ship was burning wreckage. Every military position was silent and still. Admiral Kang broadcast a message on the same frequencies the aliens had used during Seoul. The message was in the alien language. Dr. Yoon, Hana had translated it herself. This is the first. We will find all of you. We will erase you. You taught us what we need to be. The fleet destroyed the planet's communication arrays and left. They did not stay to occupy Veklar 7. They did not take prisoners. They simply erased the colony's ability to fight and moved on. 2 million aliens dead. It was not enough to balance Seoul, not even close, but it was a start. On the alien homeworld of Vekranos Prime, War Chief Thralek watched the footage from Veklar 7. He had led the attack on Seoul. He had given the order to broadcast it. He had laughed while the humans died. He was not laughing now. The Veklari Council gathered in emergency session. They watched the footage again and again. The human ships moved with precision and rage. The human weapons were more advanced than intelligence had suggested. The humans had tracked them across light years and struck without warning. Perhaps we should negotiate, one council member suggested. Offer them compensation, territory, resources. Thralek slammed his fist on the table. We will not negotiate with insects. They were lucky. One colony does not matter. We will send a fleet to their homeworld and finish what we started. The council agreed. They would send 1,000 warships to Earth. It would be the largest fleet in Veklari history. They would burn Earth like Earth had burned Veklar 7. They would show the humans what real power looked like. It would take 3 months to gather the fleet, 3 months to prepare, 3 months for humanity to realize they had made a terrible mistake. But on Earth, humanity was not afraid. They were building more ships, training more soldiers, creating more weapons. Dr. Yoon Hana had tracked 2 more alien colonies. The Retribution fleet was already moving toward them. Han Doyon sat in his quarters after the battle. He thought about what they had done. 2 million aliens dead in 8 hours. Most of them had been civilians, people who had nothing to do with Seoul, miners and engineers and families. But they were also the same species that had attacked Earth, that had broadcast murder for entertainment. That had killed 7 million people just to make a point. Han Doyon told himself it was justice. He told himself it was necessary. He told himself that this was the only way to keep Earth safe. He did not know if he believed it, but he knew he would do it again, and again, until every last alien was dead or until he was. 3 months after Veklar 7, the alien fleet arrived at Earth. 1,000 warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. It was the largest military force the galaxy had ever seen. War Chief Thralek commanded from his flagship, confident that Earth would fall in days. But Earth was not the same planet the aliens had attacked before. In 3 months, humanity had transformed their homeworld into a fortress. Admiral Kang stood in the command center beneath Geneva and watched the sensors. 1,000 enemy ships. They had expected this. Dr. Yoon Hana had intercepted alien communications and warned them the fleet was coming. Humanity had prepared. Activate the defense grid, Kang ordered. Around Earth, thousands of weapons platforms came online. They had been hidden, floating dark and silent in space, waiting for this moment. They lit up now, surrounding the planet in a sphere of fire and steel. The moon revealed its secret. Massive doors opened on the lunar surface, and railgun batteries rose from hidden bunkers. Humanity had spent 3 months hollowing out sections of the moon, turning it into a giant weapons platform. Each railgun could fire projectiles at a fraction of light speed. Each projectile could punch through a warship like paper. Captain Han Do-yun commanded the Righteous Fury from a position near Mars. The Retribution fleet had returned from their campaign in alien space. They had lost ships, but they had destroyed 3 more alien colonies. Now they waited between Mars and Earth, ready to defend their home. Han Do-yun looked at his crew. They were tired. They had been fighting for months without rest. But no one asked to stand down. Not when the enemy was here. Not when Earth itself was at stake. The alien fleet moved forward, advancing on Earth in a massive formation. They expected the planet to panic. They expected humanity to surrender or scatter or beg for mercy. Instead, humanity attacked first. The weapons platforms opened fire. Thousands of missiles screamed through space. The lunar railguns fired, sending metal death toward the alien fleet. Automated defense drones swarmed forward. Tiny ships controlled by artificial intelligence programmed to die, taking enemies with them. The alien fleet had superior numbers. But humanity had been preparing. Every ship in Earth's civilian fleet had been converted to carry weapons. Mining vessels, cargo haulers, passenger liners. Anything that could mount a gun now had one. Anything that could carry a missile now did. Even the ships that could not fight were loaded with explosives and programmed to ram enemy vessels. War Chief Thralek watched in shock as his fleet took casualties. The humans were not running. They were fighting with a ferocity that bordered on insanity. Ships rammed his vessels, sacrificing themselves to take down larger targets. Weapons platforms kept firing even as they were destroyed, their automated systems continuing the fight until nothing remained. They fight like animals, Threlek said, like cornered beasts. His advisor spoke carefully. Perhaps we underestimated them, War Chief. Perhaps we should withdraw and reconsider. Withdraw? Threlek roared. We have 1,000 ships. They cannot stop us all. Advance. Destroy everything. The alien fleet pushed forward, absorbing losses, determined to reach Earth. They fired their weapons, destroying weapons platforms and defense drones by the hundreds. But for every human weapon destroyed, 2 more seemed to take its place. Commander Nam Suji piloted her stealth ship through the battle. She had been given a special mission. Dr. Yoon Hana had developed a new weapon, a computer virus designed to infect alien systems. But someone had to deliver it. Someone had to get close enough to the alien flagship to transmit it directly. Nam Suji volunteered. Of course she did. She had been volunteering for the dangerous missions ever since Seoul. Each mission brought her 1 step closer to avenging her brother. She flew toward the massive alien flagship, invisible to their sensors. Around her the battle raged. Human and alien ships clashed in explosions of fire and metal. She ignored it all, focused only on her target. She reached the flagship and activated the virus transmission. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the alien ship's lights flickered. Systems began shutting down across the vessel. The virus was spreading, jumping from ship to ship through the alien communication network. Virus deployed, Nam Suji reported. Multiple enemy ships showing system failures. Admiral Kang allowed himself a small smile. Dr. Yoon, your weapon is effective. In her laboratory on Luna Station, Dr. Yoon Hana watched the results. Dozens of alien ships were going dark, their systems crashing as the virus spread. It would not stop them all, but it would help. Every advantage mattered. She thought about her family, about her mother, who would never call to complain again, about her father who would never send her pictures of his garden, about her brother who would never tell her another bad joke. This was for them. All of this was for them. Captain Han Do-yun led the Righteous Fury into the heart of the battle. His orders were to target the alien command ships, to cut off their coordination and create chaos. It was a dangerous mission. The command ships were heavily defended, but someone had to do it. All power to forward shields, he ordered. Prepare Hellfire missiles. We are going in. His ship accelerated, dodging fire from alien vessels. Explosions rocked the righteous fury, but the shields held. They reached the alien formation and fired their missiles. The Hellfire weapons struck 3 enemy command ships, burning through their hulls in seconds. Then the aliens returned fire. A massive energy beam struck the righteous fury directly. The shields collapsed. The hull breached. Alarm screamed through the ship as atmosphere vented into space. "Hull integrity critical," his engineering officer shouted. "We need to withdraw." Han Doyen looked at the tactical display. The alien flagship was right there, close enough to hit. If they withdrew now, they might not get another chance. "Negative," Han Doyen said. "All hands brace for impact. Engineering, prepare for reactor overload. We are ramming the flagship." His crew did not hesitate. They all knew what ramming meant. It meant dying. But it also meant taking the enemy with them. The righteous fury accelerated toward the alien flagship. The aliens realized what was happening and tried to destroy the human ship before it reached them. Their weapons tore into the fury's hull, ripping apart decks and killing crew members. But the ship kept coming. Han Doyun held onto his command chair as his ship shook apart around him. He thought about Seoul, about the 7 million who had no chance to fight back. At least he was taking enemies with him. At least his death had meaning. The righteous fury struck the alien flagship just as its reactor reached critical mass. The explosion was visible from Earth, a new sun blooming in the darkness. The flagship vanished in the blast along with 3 other nearby alien vessels. But Han Doyun did not die. At the last second, his crew had shoved him into an emergency escape pod and launched it. He tumbled through space, watching his ship and his crew disappear in fire. A rescue ship found him 3 hours later. They pulled him aboard, and he immediately demanded to return to duty. The medical officer refused. Han Doyen had 3 broken ribs, a collapsed lung, and severe radiation exposure. He needed treatment, not another ship. Han Doyen watched the rest of the battle from the rescue ship's small screen. He felt useless. His crew had died while he lived. It did not feel right. The battle continued for 8 hours. The aliens had numbers, but humanity had prepared and fought with desperate fury. Pilot Choi Mire's squadron destroyed 18 enemy ships before running out of ammunition. They did not retreat. Instead, they rammed the enemy, turning their fighters into missiles. Major Baek Hyunwoo commanded the ground defense of Luna Station. A group of alien ships broke through the orbital defenses and attempted to land troops on the moon. Baek Hyunwoo and 5,000 soldiers met them on the surface. The battle was brutal. The aliens were strong and well-armed, but they were fighting on humanity's doorstep, and humanity would not yield a single meter. Baek Hyunwoo fought with rifle and knife and bare hands when his weapons ran out. His soldiers did the same. When reinforcements arrived, they found Baek Hyunwoo standing alone among the bodies, the last soldier alive from his unit. He had held the position. The aliens had not taken the moon. Finally, the alien fleet broke. They had lost 400 ships. Their command structure was in chaos. The virus had crippled their communications. War Chief Thralic ordered a retreat, but Admiral Kang was not done. "All ships pursue. Do not let them escape. I want every ship destroyed." The Retribution fleet chased the fleeing aliens. It was not a battle anymore. It was a slaughter. The aliens had no coordination, no command, no hope. They died alone in the dark, picked off one by vengeful human ships. Not a single alien ship escaped the solar system. 1,000 had come to Earth. 1,000 died here. Admiral Kang broadcast another message on alien frequencies. "You came to finish what you started. We finished it instead. Your fleet is gone, your warriors are dead, and we are coming for the rest of you." On Vikranos Prime, the Veclari Council watched in horror, their greatest fleet destroyed. 1,000 ships gone. Earth should have fallen. The humans should have surrendered. Instead, Earth stood. And now the humans were coming. The war that followed became known as the Long March. For 18 months, humanity pursued the aliens across the stars. The Retribution fleet grew to 800 ships. Every week, new vessels joined from Earth. Every week, more weapons arrived. Every week, humanity grew stronger while the aliens grew weaker. Dr. Yoon Hana worked from Luna Station, coordinating the hunt. She had become something different since Seoul. The gentle scientist who studied stars was gone. Now she was cold and efficient, tracking alien colonies with mathematical precision. She found them, marked them, and sent the coordinates to the fleet. No one questioned her methods. No one asked if she slept or ate or rested. They could see the answer in her eyes. She did not rest. She would not rest until every alien was dead. Captain Han Doyen recovered from his injuries and took command of a new ship, the Relentless Dawn. His crew were survivors like him, people who had lost their first ships and wanted to keep fighting. They understood each other without words. They all carried the same pain. Han Doyen led his ship from colony to colony. Each target was the same. Arrive without warning. Destroy all military installations. Cripple communications. Leave nothing that could threaten Earth. Then move to the next target. Veklar 9 was an agricultural world. 900 million aliens lived there, growing food for the Empire. Commander Nam Suji scouted the planet and found only light defenses. Most of the population were farmers, not soldiers. Admiral Kang ordered the attack anyway. They fed the warriors who attacked Seoul. They supported the war effort. They are legitimate targets. The fleet bombarded Veklar 9 from orbit. Park Taeyang's weapons burned the fields and poisoned the soil. Within hours, the planet was lifeless. 900 million dead. Mostly civilians. Mostly people who had never held a weapon. Han Doyen watched from his ship and felt sick, but he did not protest. He remembered Seoul. He remembered the schools and hospitals burning. The aliens had not cared about civilians then. Why should humanity care now? But late at night, alone in his quarters, Han Doyen wondered what they were becoming. Wondered if revenge was worth losing their humanity. Major Bai Kyunwoo led ground invasions on worlds where orbital bombardment was not enough. Veklar 3 was an industrial planet with underground factories. The aliens hid in bunkers and tunnels, thinking they were safe from attack. Baek Hyunwoo took his soldiers down to hunt them. The fighting was brutal and close. Tunnels collapsed. Ammunition ran low. Soldiers fought with knives and rocks when their guns failed. But they won. They always won. Because humanity had learned that survival meant being willing to do anything. Thalos Station was a trading hub, a place where different species met to exchange goods and information. 30 million aliens lived there, along with members of other alien races. Some of those species tried to contact Earth, to broker peace, to stop the war. Admiral Kang refused all communication. They watched Seoul burn and did nothing. They are guilty by association. The fleet destroyed Thalos Station. 30 million dead, and the galaxy learned another lesson. Earth did not distinguish between enemies and bystanders. Earth did not care about neutral parties. Earth wanted vengeance, and anyone connected to the aliens was a target. Other alien species began avoiding human space. They sent no messages, they made no contact. They hoped that if they stayed silent and hidden, Earth would forget they existed. Pilot Choi Mirai flew mission after mission. She was 24 now, a veteran with 50 kills to her name. She did not feel proud. She felt empty. Each destroyed ship, each burning planet, each million dead. It all blurred together into one endless nightmare. She wondered when it would end. She wondered if it would ever end, or if humanity would just keep killing until there was nothing left to kill. Engineer Park Taeyang created new weapons in his laboratory. He made bombs that turned atmosphere into fire. He made missiles that could crack a planet's crust. He made viruses that could sterilize entire worlds. He hated every creation, but he kept building them because they were necessary. Because Earth needed to be strong. Because the aliens had started this and humanity would finish it. One night he stood in his laboratory surrounded by blueprints for death. He thought about what he used to build: solar panels, water purifiers, things that helped people live. Now he only knew how to help people die. He wondered if he could ever go back, if any of them could ever go back to who they were before Seoul. Commander Nam Suji flew her stealth ship deeper into alien territory. She found colony after colony. She marked each one for destruction. She never felt satisfied. No matter how many aliens died, her brother was still dead. Revenge did not bring him back. It only made more empty places in the universe. But she kept hunting. What else was there to do? The war had become her entire life. She did not know how to be anything except a soldier anymore. The Veclari Empire began to collapse. Colonies tried to surrender, but humanity rarely accepted. Some alien worlds evacuated, fleeing to unknown space. Others fought to the last, knowing they were doomed but refusing to die without resistance. War Chief Thralek consolidated his remaining forces around Vecranos Prime, the alien homeworld. He sent message after message to the Veclari Council, demanding more ships, more weapons, more soldiers. But the Empire was broken. There were no more ships to send. "We should negotiate," one council member said. "Offer them anything. Territory, technology, reparations. We cannot win this war." Thralek refused. "We showed them mercy once by leaving after Sol. They responded with genocide. There is no negotiating with these creatures. We fight. We kill as many as possible. And if we die knowing we took humans with us." On Earth, the population watched the war through broadcasts and reports. Some celebrated each victory. Others began to question the cost. Protests started in some cities, people demanding that Earth accept surrenders and show mercy. But most people remembered Sol. Most people thought about the 7 million who died on camera while the aliens laughed. Most people wanted the war to continue until every last alien was dead. The debate raged in government chambers and public forums. Had humanity become the monsters, or were they doing what was necessary to survive? Admiral Kang addressed the United Earth Assembly. "They started this war with an atrocity. We will end it with extinction. That is the only way to ensure Earth is safe. That is the only way to honor the 7 million. Dr. Yoon Hana was asked to speak at a memorial service for Sol's victims. She stood before a crowd of thousands and spoke without emotion. "My family died in Sol. My mother, my father, my brother. The aliens killed them for entertainment, for a broadcast, for fun." She paused. "I have helped kill billions of aliens. It does not bring my family back. It does not make the pain stop. But it ensures no one else will lose their family the same way. That is worth something. That has to be worth something." Captain Han Doyen listened to her speech from his ship. He understood what she was saying. They were all trying to make meaning from horror, trying to justify what they had become. He thought about the millions of alien civilians they had killed. Most had nothing to do with Sol. Most probably never even knew about it until the human fleet arrived. But they were part of the same species, the same empire, the same civilization that had chosen to attack Earth. At what point did being part of something evil make you evil yourself? Han Do-yoon did not have an answer. He only knew that he would keep fighting, because stopping now would mean all the death had been for nothing, because retreat would dishonor everyone who had already died, because the only way forward was through. The Retribution fleet gathered at the edge of the Vecranos system. 8 billion aliens lived on the homeworld. 500 warships protected it. Planetary shields covered the surface strong enough to withstand any conventional attack. It was the final target, the last stronghold, the end of the long march. Admiral Kang addressed the fleet one final time. "We started this war to avenge 7 million. We have killed billions. Some say we have become worse than our enemies. Maybe they are right. But I would rather be a living monster than a dead saint. I would rather protect Earth with bloody hands than surrender it with clean ones." He paused, looking at the planet on his screen. "This is the end. One more battle, one more world, and then it is over. Attack." The fleet moved forward, and the final battle began. The battle for Vecranos Prime lasted 3 weeks. It was the longest and bloodiest engagement of the war. Both sides knew this was the end. There would be no retreat, no surrender, only survival or extinction. Commander Nam Suji led her stealth ships into the system first. They sabotaged supply convoys, destroyed sensor arrays, and created confusion in the alien defenses. It was dangerous work. She lost half her squadron in the first week. But they accomplished their mission. The alien defenses were blind and isolated. The main fleet arrived on day 8. Admiral Kang had brought every available ship. 1,200 warships surrounded the planet, establishing a complete blockade. Nothing would escape. No one would survive. The aliens fought with desperate courage. They knew their species was ending. Every battle was their last stand. They threw everything at the human fleet, accepting suicide runs and impossible odds. They made humanity pay for every meter of space. Captain Han Doyun commanded the relentless dawn in the thick of the fighting. His ship took damage daily. His crew worked without sleep, repairing systems as fast as they broke. They were all exhausted, but they could see the end approaching. Just a little more, just a little further. On day 10, Engineer Park Taeyang's new weapons finally broke through the planetary shields. The shield-breaker torpedoes had taken months to develop. They worked by resonating with the shield frequency, creating cascading failures. The shields flickered and died, leaving the planet exposed. Major Baek Hyunwoo led the first ground forces onto Vikranos Prime. His soldiers landed in the capital city and immediately faced heavy resistance. The aliens fought for every building, every street, every room. They used civilians as shields. They hid weapons in schools and hospitals. They did everything they could to slow the human advance. Baek Hyunwoo's soldiers responded with overwhelming force. They could not afford mercy, could not afford hesitation. The fighting was brutal and close, soldiers and aliens dying together in the ruins of the city. War Chief Thralek watched from his command bunker as his world burned. He had started this war by attacking Seoul. He had been so confident that humanity was weak, that they would surrender after one demonstration of power. He had been wrong about everything. In a final act of defiance, Thralek sent a message to Admiral Kang. He offered single combat, one warrior against another. Winner takes all. End the war with honor. Admiral Kang read the message and deleted it without responding. There would be no honor, no glory, no clean ending. There would only be extinction. By day 14, the human fleet controlled the orbit. By day 17, Major Baek Hyunwoo's forces controlled the capital. By day 20, the aliens were trapped in the southern continent with nowhere left to retreat. Admiral Kang called a meeting with his senior officers. Captain Han Doyun attended via video link from his ship. Dr. Yoon Hana joined from Luna Station. Commander Nam Suji came in person, her face scarred from a recent battle. Engineer Park Taeyang appeared on screen, looking exhausted. Pilot Choi Mirai stood in the corner, silent and watching. "We can continue the ground campaign," Admiral Kang said. "Hunt them down continent by continent. It will take months. We will lose thousands more soldiers. But eventually we will win." He paused and brought up a new display. It showed a weapon schematic that Park Taeyang had designed months ago and then buried. A weapon so terrible that even in this war of horrors no one had dared use it. Or we can use the Starbreaker, Park Taeyang's final creation. It destabilizes the system's star, causes it to go supernova. Everything in the system dies instantly. No pain, no suffering. Just light and then nothing. The room was silent. They all understood what he was proposing. Total extinction. Not just of the remaining aliens on the planet, but of anything in the system. Stations, ships, research facilities. All life would end. Dr. Yoon Hana spoke first. "Use it, they showed Seoul no mercy. They broadcast our deaths. They laughed while 7 million burned. Why should we show mercy to them?" Captain Han Doyun shook his head. "If we do this, we are not defending humanity. We are becoming something worse. We are becoming the thing that the galaxy will fear and hate. The thing that future species will need to destroy." "Good," Dr. Yoon Hana said. "Let them fear us. Let them know what happens when you attack Earth. Let every species in the galaxy see what we did here and decide never to threaten us." Han Doyun looked at her through the screen. "Is that what your family would want? Your mother, who you said was kind. Your brother, who made bad jokes. Would they want this?" Hana's face twisted with pain and rage. "My family is dead. They do not get a choice anymore. The aliens took that from them." Commander Nam Suji spoke quietly. "My brother died in Seoul. He was a musician. He played violin. He never hurt anyone." She looked up. "I have spent 18 months killing aliens. Thousands of them. Millions if you count the colonies we destroyed. It does not bring him back. It does not make the pain stop." "But if I stop now, then what was it all for?" Major Baek Hyunwoo, present via video from the planet's surface, added his voice. "My soldiers are dying down here. Every day we lose more. If there is a way to end this without losing more human lives, we should take it." Pilot Choi Mirai finally spoke from the corner. "I am 24 years old. I have killed more beings than I can count. I used to dream about flying in space, exploring new worlds. Now I only dream about the ships I destroyed, the fires I caused." She looked at Admiral Kang. "I do not know what the right answer is. I just want it to be over." Engineer Park Taeyang spoke from his screen. "I built the Starbreaker because I was asked to create the ultimate weapon. I never thought it would be used. I do not want it to be used, but I understand why it might be necessary." Admiral Kang listened to them all. These were his people, his soldiers, the ones who had fought beside him for 18 months. They were all broken in different ways, all carrying impossible weight. He thought about Seoul, about the 7 million who died while the world watched, about the responsibility to protect Earth, about the cost of security, about the price of survival. He made his choice. Activate the Starbreaker. We end this now. Dr. Yoon Hana showed no emotion. Commander Nam Suji nodded slowly. Major Baek Hyun-woo looked relieved. Pilot Choi Mirai closed her eyes. Captain Han Doyen stood up in his command chair. "Admiral, I formally protest this decision. I believe we are making a mistake that will haunt humanity forever." "Noted," Admiral Kang said. "But the order stands. Park Taeyang, you have 48 hours to deploy the weapon. All ships are to evacuate the system immediately." Engineer Park Taeyang worked alone in his laboratory. His hands shook as he activated the Starbreaker. He thought about all the things he had built in his life, the helpful things and the harmful things. This would be his legacy. The man who killed his son. He transmitted the activation codes and watched the weapon launch toward Vikranos' star. It would take 30 hours to reach its target. Then the star would begin its cascade. The system had 48 hours before everything ended. War Chief Thralic received word of the weapon. His scientists confirmed what it would do. He stood on the balcony of his bunker and looked up at the sun that had warmed his world for billions of years. In 2 days, it would become their tomb. He sent one final message to Earth, to Admiral Kang, to anyone who would listen. "We thought you were weak. We thought you were prey. We were wrong. You are not weak. You are not prey. You are something terrifying. You are a species that will destroy a sun to protect yourselves. You are a species that chooses extinction over defeat." He paused, watching his son. "We attacked you because we saw you as inferior. Now you have proven that you are the most dangerous species in the galaxy. May the universe have mercy on whatever civilization is foolish enough to threaten you next, because you will show them none." The message ended. The human fleet evacuated the system. They jumped to faster than light, leaving Vikranos Prime behind. Major Baek Hyun-woo evacuated his soldiers. Commander Nam Suji's ships retreated. Everyone left except the aliens trapped on their dying world. 48 hours later, the Vikranos star went supernova. The explosion was visible across a dozen star systems. In seconds, the heat reached the planet. Cities vaporized. Oceans boiled away. The atmosphere burned. 8 billion aliens died instantly, their molecules scattered across space. The planets, the stations, the ships, the research facilities. Everything became dust and light. The Viklari species was extinct. Completely. Totally. Forever. The human fleet watched from a safe distance. No one cheered. No one celebrated. They had won. They had survived. But the victory tasted like ash, Doctor. Yoon Hana sat alone in her laboratory and finally cried. She had wanted this. She had demanded it. But now that it was done, she felt nothing but emptiness. Her family was still dead. The aliens were gone, and she was hollow inside. Captain Han Doyen looked at the expanding nova and wondered what they had become. They had started this war to avenge innocence. They had ended it by killing billions. Where was the line between justice and genocide? Had they crossed it? Had they ever been on the right side of it? Commander Nam Suji thought about her brother and his violin. She wondered what he would think of her now. Would he be proud that she avenged him? Or horrified by what she had become? Major Baek Hyun-woo reunited with his surviving soldiers. They were changed. All of them.